resilient children in a modern world. And so I'm Carla, and I've got together with Colette and
Hello.
Sonia.
Hi.
So, how about Dr. Colette McHugh? You start with how we sort of got together and came up and bubbled away and percolated this idea, and what it means to you from your professional stand, and then Sonia can say the same and I can do the same. Might be nice just to get some ideas and then we can use this in certain ways. So
Yeah.
what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, you and I met through hypnosis training through online. In fact, we've never actually met in person, which is really cool. But become firm friends, which is training. And we've become sort of firm friends even though we haven't met. I'm currently a registered clinical psychologist in New Zealand, and I've been doing that for the last 15 years. And you were very interested in the psychology side of the hypnosis and talked to me about the SleepTalk method, because I work with families and children who are struggling and families who are struggling. And so you brought the SleepTalk method to me, and we went through it, and it's been amazing. And I've worked with families using this and with great results. And particularly, I think the results are outstanding for the parents, for the mums and the dads, and that they feel empowered to do something. They've got this very simple thing they can do, and it empowers them to feel like they've got some control and some impact with their children that they might be struggling with particular behavior.
And I think that's really an important part of us collaborating, because I know with me working with it over so many years and being able to adapt and mold it to my particular situation, the clients that I see, which obviously are different to the clients that you were seeing, but being able to take in different aspects was something that I think was needed, because we were all able to bring a little bit extra and just refine something. I mean, the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I feel really proud that the three of us are continuing that village of coming forward with family, human dynamics, psychology, all the rest of it, because there's the world is changing rapidly, and being able to bring in our own personal aspects and then collaborate. Do you agree with that, Sonia? What's your thoughts?
I do. I think the collaboration, I think it's been fabulous, and I think just the assistance to families. I think a lot of it's post-COVID. I've seen an increase in kids having trouble with separation anxiety, moving away from mum and dad, some behavioural issues because the parents that are so worried about the children post-COVID that they've given in to a lot of their demands rather than feeling confident to stand back and say it's okay. Kids' self-esteem has sort of dropped. They've ended up going back into the school system after missing out on learning for quite a few months at different points. So building up that confidence, that resilience, ability to manage difficulties, and certainly across the social spectrum as well, because they might have been at home and doing some of the learning, but they weren't mixing with their friends and colleagues and or other children in the playground even. So just those stages where they've missed some of that growth. So having the positive affirmations during sleep I think has helped both the parents and the children, because they're able to pass on a positivity rather than being angry. So sort of when everyone's calm and quiet.
And Sonia, maybe can you give a little bit of a background of what you do and how you've become part of our trilogy, with the aspect of your work, because you work with children on a daily basis, and so it's really interesting to take your thoughts on, you know, how this has evolved for you professionally. But
well, Carla, well, as we've known each other for many years, having done our training at the Adelaide Children's
very
Hospital,
long time.
courses, not that long ago. And then since then, I've retrained in occupational therapy, working with children. So there's lots of similarities between the two, and obviously working with children and families, having my own children, sort of brings all the package together. And so we're working with little kids from sort of, probably the biggest population are the 3 or 4 year old preschooler up until they're about 12. I do work with the older ones, but that age group are the ones that are really quite receptible to the SleepTalk method, and where the parents are really so involved with the children and what's going on and receptive to their issues and difficulties. Yeah, not that the older ones are, but
you made a comment earlier, Colette, which I remember one of the very first sessions we did together, Sonia. We were both quite astounded, and you said to me, wow, this is the first time that the parents have been considered. And that is why I feel that this book, an audio book that we're about to launch, which we're excited about, is so vital, because for me, there are so many children that are in remedial or being supported, and it does really have the parents sometimes very disempowered. They want the best for their child, but they don't know how. And so this really brings it back into the nest, the family nest, and it allows the parent to really have the empowerment that they are their child's parent. And that is enormously important, not only for the child's security and dependence, because children need to have complete dependence before they understand independence, but it also allows the parent to feel that they have that ability to be that parent. No one else can do that job. So if a child's in a remedial class for something, or needing support with a neurodynamic diagnosis of some kind, the child still needs to have that security. The child still needs to know, and we know that as therapists, a child can display their anger, their frustration, and their behavior issues in the home around the parent. And so many parents will say to you, oh, they're so great when they go out, but they speak to me terribly. And they do that because they feel safe. They do all of that because they feel safe. So when they're feeling safe, if you can tap into that opportunity rather than feel it's constantly ignition point, it's marvelously supportive of the children, of being supportive of the parent.
And so what I found, which when we did do those initial ones and talking to the parents, and it does, honestly, when you said that before, I got goosebumps, because it really made such an impact on me, in that as you said, it gave the parents a voice, but it gave the parents a voice to actually talk to each other about some of the issues that the other one would going, oh, I didn't realize that that's what you were thinking. I was thinking it too, and I thought I was being silly. Or I didn't know you felt like that, and I feel like this. How can we come together and do the same thing? So there's not that moment of, when you're talking to the child, of, am I upsetting the other parent? Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the same page? Are we working together? So it kind of brought their parenting together, as much as they still had their differences, but then each other understood each other's differences. And I think that made a really massive change. But also talking about how the the SleepTalk method and some of those questions, how their lives were affected, and how much some of the behaviours or the lack of sleep that was going on was affecting them and their relationship. And that they, as much as you think, oh, we've got to go out on a date night and never, but it's kind of like, yeah, you're getting out of the house, but you're still coming back to it. So this is sort of like a tackling, so you can come back to peacefulness as well.
Yeah, I think, that is the point, and that is why even starting the process that we have put into the book, giving examples, giving understanding of how parents can implement these things, the various affirmations, which, and let's just remind everybody, we've got a whole lot of professional experience among the three of us, where I know that affirmations and meditations and all of those things are really important and vital, and people understand them, but for a child that is having some neurodivergent issues, some school issues, that's not always the easiest. And I think a lot of adults will understand this. If you're stressed and you've got deadlines, and if you've got perhaps financial issues or concerns about something, going to a meditation class isn't going to support that. It's not going to fix your stresses and strains when they are there and they're present. It's probably going to ignite something. And so we need to understand that well-meaning parents, sometimes in the quest to support children, can be a little misled that they actually do hold the powers within to be able to support these children, their children. And you're right. If you've got a mother who is constantly stressed picking up her child from school, or getting the emails, or getting the notes in the school bags, or the child that's coming home from school, crying their eyes out, they feel like they've got no friends, or the child that is, hypoglycemic when they get out of school because they've, the sugar's crashed, and then they're angry and nasty. And you've got that happening relentlessly every night, perhaps to one parent, while the other one's at work, or the other one's trying to, get things done. It can be absolute ignition point where, parents that evening could spend the whole time, night after night, week after week, discussing the stress that a child's causing. And I mean, it just can become such a delicate situation. And at the same time, if you're a single parent, I mean, that just can relentlessly, pull you through the ringer. But we had an interesting case, didn't we, Sonia, where there were parents that had experienced a divorce many, many years earlier. And it was quite interesting because they came together for their child. And when there was conversation about things, you could see that genuine connection between the two of them that they had that created that child in the first place. And it was actually quite a beautiful thing to see. And
that they had care for each other.
Yeah.
And around
and it was really, even when there were certain things being said, the reaction on the other one, that was a bit like, wow, thank you for saying that about me. And so that was really, really lovely as well.
Well, you're bringing them together for the child. And so it's really important that they feel that they can both do these affirmations and this method. And it's not complex. It's not challenging. It's not difficult, and there's not several million steps towards it. I've worked with families where, in the past, when we've done, sticker charts and all these different ideas, and watching your child for 30 minutes for this time of the day and praise them for their good behavior, and that can be really hard to keep up, whereas this is so easy. And grandparents can do it, the mother and fathers can do it, whether together or not together, caregivers, and I think it's just a really hugely beneficial process and method to bring into families. Yeah.
And getting to that point that you just made earlier, and Sonia might want to chime in here as well, rewarding ability, because that's sort of what we think we can do can be enormously detrimental for that child's well-being down the track. I mean, I think you only have to say the word pen license to anyone born between 1970 and 1990, and they'll all have a cringe, right? That blooming pen license, and that some of us still never got. It's not that the child wasn't trying, but if they're, from our point of view, Sonia, if they've got a primitive reflex for attention, they are incapable of holding a pen. It needs to be done. Children aren't inherently obstructive, and trying to make them do something and put it under the banner of good behaviour is very counterproductive to emotional and mental well-being. Do you
They
have
really need to be
a thought on
targeted.
that, Sonia?
So I was just going to say they really need to be targeted to the child, to what they can do or what they can't do, or what's an important step for them. And it might be just walking in the classroom. Well, to the other child, that's really easy. Well, we're not going to target it for you. So, but you coming in, well done, you get a thumbs up or whatever. So it's just those small wins that are really big for them.
And if they are getting that, that security that's effortless for parents, I think that's the thing as well. Parents shouldn't have to be the remedial teacher.
No,
Parents
that's right.
shouldn't have to, put up with the behavior and still have to do this. I mean, it really erodes at a parent-child relationship, and even when parents are trying to do the very, very best for their child, the long-term damage of a parent trying can be emotionally very distressing for a child, and plant seeds of, resentment towards a parent. And not always, obviously, but in some cases. I mean, parents should not have to be that remedial person. And there are going to be children that are going to need to have literacy support, or sequential cognitive patterning. Sonia sees that every day. But if that child has got the ability to have that safety and completely release into a calm, non-judgmental space in their own home, that is something that is, I think, a safety, an emotional safety that all children should be able to access. And I think it's something that all parents should be able to give their child without the worry and the stress of not believing in their child. If their child is tired, if their child is hangry, if their child doesn't want to do that, if their child is fearful of something, showing that you believe in them and then still being able to give these affirmations is vital for the long-term sustainability of the family health.
I think it's also the parents' ability to believe in themselves.
Yes.
We have children, and I mean, this day and age, there's so much information. I mean, I had my first child when I was 20, well before sort of internet was around, and so there wasn't that bombardment of information. You went to a book and you got a book and you read a book, but today it's just everything is out there and everything is different and changes, and it's this thing or it's that thing, and no, you shouldn't be doing this, and then the next minute it's yes, you should be doing that. and so they're bombarded with so much. How do they know without the research, which is what we've got with the SleepTalk method? How do they know what is going to help? How can they feel confident in themselves that they've got something that they can do that will help their child and themselves?
So really, we agree that this is more for parents to support the children.
Yeah.
And I think you've made a very valid point, Colette. I mean, I know that our generation who have raised our children and have got adult children now, we were raised by a very different generation that were raised by a very different generation. So there's culturally so many things that, come through that people have beliefs in. Just get to the grassroots of that. I mean, it can turn down the frustration volume in a child as well, right? Because a lot of the things that parents resort to as boundaries or punishment can cause enormous frustration in a child and enormous anger in a child. And everybody parents their own way, but it can make parenting so much easier if you can have that connection. And we talk about that connection. And so one of the reasons I decided to collaborate with the two of you, because of your expert professional understanding and knowledge, but I also felt that we could all bring our own aspect. I mean, my background is midwifery and I've lived in Asia for 28 years, so I really have quite a good understanding of third culture kids, children that have to move, children that go to boarding school. That's sort of what I've done with my 4. So having a very good understanding of that, and again, it comes down to cultures, doesn't it? There's every corner of the globe has a different culture and a different way of raising their children. But there's one thing that, all children need, and that's security and connection. And we've tried very much in the book to modernize it for all aspects and, for all families. And that's why I think also we've made it a very easy to read ebook. You can also print it. So as we were talking earlier and Sonia said, this is a tool that you would love to give someone as a new baby gift. It's something really, really beneficial.
Absolutely.
One of the things I used to always say to some of my corporate women who had been in the corporate world and they'd had their careers, and all of a sudden they had a little baby, and one of the things I used to say to them, when I did my birth preparation classes, would be, how are you with your nursery rhymes? And they'd look at me and I'd like, are you up to date with your nursery rhymes? And they'd be like, oh, and I'd say, because one of the best things you can do is get yourself some downloaded nursery rhymes and start singing them and remembering them. And this is not only going to help your language development, you can do it when the baby is, when you're actually massaging your baby. It's going to help once the baby's born in that 4th trimester period, which we talk about in the book.
Socialization.
Exactly. And so sometimes, and yeah, exactly. All those things that are so vital for the connection. And so this is, it's those things that prepare before. We talk about, strollers and nurseries and baby showers, but we have very, very intelligent, committed parents these days, right? They are normally absolute experts in whatever professional career they have chosen. And so then there's this little baby. And now listening to some nursery rhymes isn't hard. Remembering a few, because that's so good for language development, mother tongue development, physical literacy, all of those things, very, very important. So
yeah, I mean, I found myself, because I went to visit my new granddaughter recently, And I found myself going back to those nursery rhymes, and it's amazing how much you can remember. I mean, this is, 30 years ago. 30
Yeah.
years ago I was doing nursery rhymes, or well, maybe a little bit less, but it's picking those up. I mean, and even picking up the books that I had when I was a child, the nursery rhymes, and they're so critical.
And they are, but they help with the pre-reading, their sequencing. They have the rhymes in them, so they've got that preemptive, I know what's coming next. So they stop the word. And I work with families of lots of different backgrounds, and sometimes I'll sing a little nursery rhyme or something, and the parent they'll say, I know that tune, but it's different words. We don't say that, but we have the same tune.
So they're the same bass tunes, and then the vocables that go along with it. You incorporate that with some infant massage. You incorporate that with the 4th trimester information that we've got in the SleepTalk Method book.
Yeah.
You really set yourself up to allow a beautiful, comforting, welcoming nest for your newborn. And because it can be a bit weird having this little baby there all of a sudden, and it's beautiful, and it goes so quick. We know that it goes so fast, and so I think this is what's wonderful about it as well. And we've got 16 chapters in the book, and we talk about so many things, don't we? And they're all very, very easy to listen to, and some may be appropriate for you and some may not. We've got separation of a relationship in there. We've got grief of a pet. We've got all sorts of things in there.
There's this separation anxiety, the school anxiety, that's critical, and sibling rivalry.
Yes, that's a big one.
New baby comes along.
Picky eaters, that's in there. Selective mutism.
And the thing that's really good is that it's not too long. So if you have just had a baby, or you've got a child who's having issues, you haven't got time to read a tome.
No.
It's picking up. And as Colette said, you can just pick out a chapter and go, oh, that's where I'm at. So it's and it's all the same. So you might have this issue, or this issue, but you can use the same method. You don't have to know a different method for every different issue.
And if you're watching this and you do have an issue, and maybe you have read the book or listened to the audio book, Sonia and Colette and myself are all available for further consultations, because we do understand that some things, do need a little bit more. Nothing's cookie cutter in this world. And we are all very, very experienced with all sorts of things. And so you can click the link below this and you will be able to access us. I'm in Hong Kong, work internationally. Sonia is based in Sydney, Australia, but will work online internationally. Colette is in New Zealand and she will do the same. So we can be contacted if you've got something that you feel Colette may be able to help more with her psychology background, that Sonia may be able to help a little further with her occupational therapy background. And I am very helpful here for any third culture kids, any movement issues, any separations anxieties, any midwifery or 4th trimester work, or anything at all to do with neurocognitive development. We are all available and all have our own areas of expertise, but we also come together and can really support as such as well. But we do suggest you get the book, because it's not difficult. It's just something that is for parents, for children, and we haven't made it complicated. We've kept it easy for that reason. So have you got anything else you want to say before we sign off for this one? And we hopefully will be able to keep having these conversations, because we really think that every child and every family deserve to have this kind of harmony.
Absolutely.
If parents are
Absolutely.
watching this, they're on the right track. There's
True.
this is to help, and
Yep.
have a read of the book. It's really an easy read, a great method, and we're here to help.
Well, just take that step to empower yourselves, and know that you're doing something to care for your children, and create that lovely family environment that, you know, we all want to have, and have that joy and peace and relaxation in your family.
And it does trickle on through everything. If you've got a happy home that you feel comfortable in, that your child feels secure in, that's going to have the ripple effect into all other aspects of your life. It's going to help your relationships, it's going to help your work environment, it's going to help your ability to have a bit of me time, because you're not going to be stressing about all these other things, and it will really empower your understanding of your particular situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Good.
we look
So
forward to hearing from you.
be there. We're going to break down each chapter bit by bit, and we will be discussing our take on why those chapters that we're you know, the subjects are important, and we'll just keep sending out as much information as possible. But do get the book. The links below the launch of the book and the purchase of the book you'll be able to do from next week. It's currently March 2025. So you can go onto the website and you can send off an inquiry for pre-launch, and we can let you know when those books are available. But not long now, and we're really excited to allow. Yeah,
absolutely. Great for those professional people who work with children as well, to recommend to their families.